Good afternoon, my dear student. I am your HOD. I am telling you the rectum and anal canal instead of Jyotirmayi. She is on leave still. Hence, I came to teach you rectum and anal canal. Rectum and anal canal. Rectum and anal canal both are terminal parts of the gastrointestinal tract. Both are terminal parts of the gastrointestinal tract. The gastrointestinal tract is divided into foregut, midgut, and hindgut. So rectum and anal canal both are terminal parts of the gastrointestinal tract. They are attached to the hindgut. They are attached to the hindgut. Both are terminal parts of the gastrointestinal tract. Now, the gastrointestinal tract opens outside at its terminal end through the anal canal, or opening of the anal canal is called anus. So, through the anal opening only, we will defecate. We will go to motions. Fecal matter will come. So, anal canal. So, because the anal canal, terminal part of the GIT tract, rectum and anal canal are associated with discharge of fecal matter, and absorption of rectum is associated with absorption of some important materials, and that is associated with absorption of some important materials that is necessary for the body from the material present in the gastrointestinal tract. So the rectum and anal canal are associated with various diseases. So rectum is nothing but continuous to the sigmoid colon. Rectum is nothing but continuous to the sigmoid colon. So before the rectum, sigmoid colon is there. After sigmoid colon, rectum is there. After rectum, anal canal is there. After rectum, anal canal is there. Sigmoid colon is the reservoir of fecal matter. Sigmoid colon is the reservoir of fecal matter. So once the fecal matter enters into the rectum, so the rectum gets distended and we will feel the urgency to go to lavatory. So the distension of rectum is associated with urgency of discharge of fecal matter or our urgency to go to lavatory for motion. That is, anal canal is nothing but an opening. Anal canal is the terminal part of the most terminal part of the gastrointestinal tract. So through that, the fecal matter will go out. Now the rectum, which its name is a straight one, but it is not a straight one. It has got curvatures. So it has got anterior curvatures, lateral curvatures. It has got a length. That is approximately some 35 millimeters or more than 45 centimeters. And it has got a width of diameter of 4 centimeters, that is uniformly. So it has got a length, it has got a width 4 centimeters throughout its length. So the most dilated part of the rectum is nothing but ampulla of the rectum. So the rectum is present in the pelvis. Rectum is present in the pelvis, lower pelvis, the greater pelvis and lesser pelvis. So the rectum is present in the lower pelvis, but not in the superior pelvis. So the rectum is present in the lower pelvis. There is the anal canal is present below the pelvic diaphragm. Anal canal is present below the pelvic diaphragm. That is below the levator ani. Levator ani are two muscles on either side in the pelvis forming the pelvic diaphragm. So already pelvis class has been completed. Already levator ani was given in your examination. I think that you have got a certain opinion regarding the levator ani or pelvic diaphragm. So the posterior relations of the rectum are nothing but sacrum and coccyx. So there are 5 sacral vertebrae: S3, S4, S5, S3, S4, S5, and coccyx 1. So tip of the coccyx and anococcygeal ligament. So posterior relations of the rectum are sacrum and coccyx, S3, S4, S5, and coccyx vertebra and anococcygeal ligament. So the anal canal is present below the tip of the coccyx, a little below the coccyx. So it has got anterior relations, it has got posterior relations, it has got side relations. So the viscera present in the pelvis in males and females is different. For example, uterus and vagina is present in females, seminal vesicles, prostate, and vast difference is present in males. So relations of common relations in both male and female regarding the rectum, and the difference relations, for example, uterus, lower part of the uterus and upper part of the vagina in females, seminal vesicles, prostate, base of the prostate, lower part of the prostate, and the vast difference, these comes as relations in the lower part of the rectum in males. That is the difference. So, what is the normal picture? It is the distal part of the large gut. Placed beneath the sigmoid colon and sigmoid colon. So rectum is the distal part of the large gut. It is placed after sigmoid colon. So the characteristic features of intestine here is this is the large intestine. This is saculations. These are saculations. These are saculations. So this is tinea coli. This is tinea coli. 3 tinea coli is present in the intestine. And appendix ecloica. So omental folds, appendix ecloica. And this is the mesentery. So this is the mesentery. These are the characteristic features of large intestine. These are divided in the rectum. You see, there is no saculations in the rectum. There is no tinea coli. This is tinea coli present in the large intestine. They are not present in the rectum. And appendix ecloica, they are adhesions for the intestine. They are large intestine. They are not present. So this is a fold of mesentery, omentum. This fat is present in the fold of mesentery. That is called omentum. So that is called mesocolon. Mesocolon. So mesentery means that is in small intestine. So in large intestine is otherwise called as colon. So this is called mesocolon. So this is absent. This is mesocolon is absent. So in rectum is plain, no saculations. This is tinea coli present in large intestine. It is not present, and there is no mesocolon is present. No mesocolon is present in the rectum. This is the character. So you see, whenever the rectum starts, whenever the intestine ends, there is no saculations. So this is up to this part is intestine. So this is rectum. There is no saculations, and this is the external anal sphincter. You see, only longitudinal muscle fibers are found in the rectum, whereas circular muscle fibers are found in the anal canal. So this is the anal canal. Again, divided into upper part and lower part. This is the rectum. It has got anterior curvatures. This has got lateral curvatures. It has got a length and it has got a diameter. So the maximum diameter of rectum is the ampulla. The maximum diameter of the rectum is the ampulla. So the terminal part of the large intestine is the sigmoid colon. The terminal part of the large intestine that I am showing is the sigmoid colon. Sigmoid colon is also part of the large intestine. Large intestine is otherwise called as colon. Rectum is not part of the large intestine, but it is the terminal part of the hind gut. That you must know it. Okay. So situated in the posterior part of lesser pelvis, begins as a continuation of sigmoid colon opposite S3, ends by continuing with anal canal. So anorectal junction is made with the junction between the rectum and the starting point of anus is called anorectal junction. Lies 2 to 3 centimeters in front of and little below the tip of the coccyx, that is anus. So anal canal is lies 2 to 3 centimeters lies in front of and little below the tip of the coccyx. So rectum is present in S3, S4, S5 and coccyx vertebra, C1, C2 and etc. Because all coccygeal vertebra are fused to form a single vertebra. So below the tip of the coccyx is the anal canal. Now this is the, as a continuation, this is sigmoid colon. This is opposite, this is the sacral vertebra out. has given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the coccyx. This is the coccyx. You count sacral vertebra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the coccyx. So this is the sigmoid colon is ending. Rectum is starting. So this is S3 vertebra. This is the opposite level of S3 vertebra. Okay? This is the opposite level of S3 vertebra. This is S4. This is S5. Now this is the tip of the coccyx. So this is the anus. This is the anal canal. This part is the anal canal. This part of anal canal is present below the tip of the coccyx. If you observe how I am moving the cursor, it will clarify you the doubt. So this is the large intestine. This is the sigmoid colon. This is the rectum starting opposite the S3 vertebra. This is the tip of the coccyx. So below the tip of the coccyx is the anal canal from here to here. So this separation is the pelvic diaphragm. This muscle is the levator ani muscle. This muscle is the levator ani muscle. This muscle is the levator ani muscle. So this is one on right side and one on left side. So two levator ani muscles are present on either side of the lesser pelvis. So they are separating the lesser pelvis from the perineal region. Perineum means the perineal region means genital region. That is below the pelvic diaphragm is the perineal region. So it lies at the level of the apex of the prostate. This is the urinary bladder. This is the prostate. This is the seminal vesicle. So this lies at the level of the apex of the anorectal junction. This is the rectum. This is the rectum. This is the anal. So this is the anal canal and this is the anus. Opening of the anal canal is called, where I put a cursor is the anus. This is the anus, external opening. This is the anus. This is the anus. This is the anal canal. Opening of the anal canal is called anus, where I put a cursor. So this is the anal canal. It is present below the pelvic diaphragm, opposite the base of the prostate, opposite the apex of the prostate. Base means upper side. Towards the urinary bladder is the base. Towards the lower part, down part is the apex. So it is situated opposite the anorectal junction. This is the rectum. This is the anus. This is the anorectal junction. Lies below the tip of the coccyx at the level of the apex of the prostate. This is the prostate. This is the apex of the prostate. This is the base of the prostate. So I have told you the extent and course of the rectum and anal canal in a diagrammatic representation. So I told you once again, this is the large intestine, this is the rectum, this is the sigmoid colon. So this is the anal canal. Opening of the anal canal outside is called anus. So this is the pelvic diaphragm, levator ani muscle. So this is the S1 vertebra, S2 vertebra, S3 vertebra, S4 vertebra, S5 vertebra. These are all the coccyx vertebra fused to form a single vertebra. Coccyx vertebra fused to form a single vertebra. Now opposite the anorectal junction, this is the rectum, this is the anus. Anorectal junction is present below the tip of the coccyx, opposite the apex of the prostate. This is the prostate, this is the apex of the prostate. So this levator ani separates the rectum above and below the anal canal. Opening of the anal canal outside is the anus. Now measurements: length 12 centimeters, diameter 4 centimeters, lower part dilated rectal ampulla. When empty, it transverse shape. So when empty, this is the empty part of the rectum. Yes, taken a section of the rectum. So interior of the rectum, how it appears. So this is the up to the this one. This is the rectum. You see, this is the pelvic muscle, levator ani, pelvic diaphragm, how it forms. So this is one levator ani. This is one levator ani. This is the pelvic bone. This bone is pelvic bone. It is covered by one muscle. This is a muscle. So this is the rectum. This is the ischial tuberosity. So this is called istiorectal fossa. This is called istiorectal fossa. A triangular one, a cone-shaped one. This is called istiorectal fossa. You see, artery, vein, and nerve. These three are present in this lateral wall of the istiorectal fossa. So this is not necessary, but I want to tell you because such a beautiful diagram you cannot see. This is nothing but a a pad of fat, a cushion of fat. So this is the anal opening. On either side of the anal opening, this is the cushion of fat present in the istiorectal fossa. Gives a characteristic appearance and a smooth bunched appearance to the anus and the luteum, and the below the perineum region. So curvatures beginning and end lie in median plane. Two anteroposterior curvature, sacral flexure, perineal flexure. Sacral flexure follows the curvature of the sacrum and coccyx. Sacral flexure because the rectum posterior relation is sacrum and coccyx. The rectum and anal cavity. So the sacrum flexure follows the curvature of the sacrum and coccyx. You see how it is curvature of the. So this is the sacrum. This is the coccyx, anal-coccygeal raphe. So this is the sacrum and coccyx. So this is the rectum. So this is perineal flexure. This is perineal flexure. This is sacral flexure. So a convexity backward. A convexity backward. So this is a convexity backward and concavity forward. This is convexity forward and concavity backward. Counterwards. So this is a convexity backward. Or concavity, this concavity is forward. So this is convexity forward, concavity backward. So this is puborectal sign of levator ani, a part of levator ani muscle, how it forms. So this is a perineal flexure and a sacral flexure. So forward flexure is the perineal flexure, the sacral flexure is the forward flexure. So anterior. So side flexures are lying on this side. Upper one, middle one, and lower one. I will see. I will show you. This is the section. Upper one, middle one, and lower one. These are curvatures. How the sagittal section of this pelvis is taken. So this is the upper one, this is the middle one, this is the lower one. Three curvatures and three lateral curvatures. These are lateral curvatures. In the sagittal section, it appears like this. So lateral curvatures in sagittal section appears like this. So this is the upper curvature. This is the upper curvature, this is the middle curvature, this is the lower curvature. Now this is sacral flexure, this is perineal flexure. So convexity backward, concavity forward, convexity forward, concavity backward. So two flexures are anterior curvatures and three curvatures are lateral curvatures. So you see, if you closely observe this diagram and that diagram, you can identify the curvatures. Now superior one third of the rectum, peritoneum. I will show you this diagram. This is the peritoneum. This one is the peritoneum covering this one. So this is the rectum part. This is the levator ani. This is the anal canal. This is the anal canal. Now this is the rectum part. This is the last part of the. This is the large intestine last part. This is called sigmoid colon. This is the rectum part. This rectum part, upper one third, middle one third, and lower one third. Upper one third is covered on anterior side, lateral side by the peritoneum. You see, this is the extension of the peritoneum. How it extends? Front side, lateral side. So this is the lateral side of the rectum. This covers on the front side and lateral side. So this covers on the peritoneum. This is the peritoneum. This is the peritoneum. This is the layer, cut layer of the peritoneum. This is internal iliac artery, internal iliac vein. This is iliac vessels. So this is iliac vessels. This is iliac artery, iliac vein. This is iliac artery and iliac vein. This is the levator ani muscle. So front part of the rectum, lateral part of the rectum is covered by the peritoneum in upper one third. Whereas in middle one third, only anterior part of the rectum is only covered, no lateral coverings. Whereas in the lower part, no peritoneal covering is there. Whereas in lower part of the rectum, no peritoneal covering is there. Because the peritoneum is restricted only to this side, up to this level only. Peritoneum is restricted only up to this level only. Peritoneum is restricted only up to this level only. So this is the peritoneum. So front side is covered, lateral side of the rectum is covered. So in the middle one third only front side is covered. You see, this only front side is covered. Where is the lower one third? Peritoneum is there. So the peritoneal relations of the rectum is upper one third, front side, and both sides, lateral sides are covered by the peritoneum. In middle one third, only front of the rectum is covered by the peritoneum. Lower one third, no peritoneum covers the rectum. That means rectum is divided up peritoneum in lower one third. So measurement, length, diameter, lower part dilated, that is rectal ampulla, when empty, transverse slit like a piaz. Two anteroposterior curvatures, sacral flexure follow the curvature of the sacrum coccyx, perineal flexure backward bend in anorectal juncture. So backward bend in anorectal juncture. So you see AP view, upper one, middle one, lower one. So sacral flexure, so ilaga, and this is the perineal flexure, this is the anorectal juncture. So this part is the, so from this part to this part is the rectum. Three lateral curvatures, upper convex to right, middle convex to left, that is most prominent. So you see this middle one is most prominent, lower convex to right, lower convex to right. So upper convex to right, middle convex to left, most prominent, lower convex to right, less prominent. So prominent, most prominent, less prominent. So upper curvature is more prominent, middle curvature is most prominent, lower curvature is less prominent. You see, upper curvature is prominent, middle curvature is most prominent, lower curvature is less prominent. You see the diagram, upper curvature most prominent, middle curvature most prominent, lower curvature less prominent. That is the shape of the curvature. How to contrast? Now, two anteroposterior, beginning and end lies in median plane. Sacral flexure and perineal flexure. The same thing is written in the material what I told you in the lecture class. You read it once. You see here also the peritoneum upper one third, the rectum is covered by peritoneum front, lateral side, green color. Middle one third only front side, lower one third divided. This is the anal canal. So this is the rectum, this is the anal canal, this is the anorectal junction. So this is below the tip of the coccyx. This is tip of the coccyx. So anorectal junction is below the tip of the coccyx. So anal canal is below the coccyx. A few centimeters below the coccyx. A few centimeters below the coccyx. Not immediately below the coccyx. A few centimeters below the coccyx is tip of the coccyx. Anal canal is present. That is the length. So you have to measure relative relations. If anybody says, is it a male pelvis or female pelvis? You see prostate is there. You see seminal vesicle is there. So it is a male. So this is the perineal membrane. This is the perineal membrane. This is the symphysis pubis. Now this is the rectum. So this is the bladder, otherwise called as vesicle. This is the rectum. So this is a rectovesical pouch. This is the vesicle. This is the rectum. So this is called as rectovesical pouch. This is called as rectovesical pouch. Whereas in females, uterus is there, so it is called rectouterine pouch. So in female males, rectovesical pouch is there. This is the bladder, otherwise called as vesicle, rectum. So it is rectovesical pouch. So in females, in between the bladder and the rectum is the uterus is there. In between the bladder and rectum, uterus is there. So uterus intervenes between the bladder and rectum in female. So this pouch is uterovesical pouch. This pouch is uterovesical pouch. Coils of intestine and sigmoid colon. Coils of intestines and sigmoid colon. Base of urinary bladder, lower part of vagina. Because between the rectum and bladder, uterus intervenes. So base of the uterus and upper part of the vagina comes in relation. So you see, this is the rectovesical pouch. This is the bladder. This is the rectum. This is the rectovesical pouch. So here also rectovesical pouch. Between the bladder and the rectum, Uterus and vagina comes. So uterovesical pouch comes. So uterus is continuous below with vagina in female. So upper part of vagina comes in relations. So upper part of vagina comes in relations. You see, this is the uterus. This is the vagina. How uterus is intervened between the bladder and rectum. So this is the vagina. So this is the upper part of the vagina. This is the lower part of the uterus, or otherwise called as, this is anterior pole of the cervix. This is posterior pole of the cervix. So two cervix. So this is the lower part of the uterus is called cervix. Upper part of the vagina intervenes between the rectum and the bladder. This is the bladder. This is the rectum. So lower part of the uterus cervix. Upper part of the vagina intervenes between the rectum and the bladder. So this one and this one comes as an anterior relation to the rectum in female. So posterior relation. This is the sacrum, this is the coccyx. So sympathetic trunk is there. So piriformis muscle covers the anterior part of the sacrum. This is a sacral bone. I think that we have completed sacrum. Now this is the median sacral artery arising from the posterior part of the aorta. This is the sympathetic trunk. This is the piriformis. So lateral sacral artery, S3, S4, S5. So these are the nerves comes as a relation to the posterior relations. So sympathetic trunk, piriformis muscle, and median sacral artery, they are common relations in both males and females. So the posterior relations are more common. So the sympathetic trunk on either side, on right side, and left side unite to form a ganglion impar. So ganglion impar also comes in the posterior relations to the rectum, because the rectum is present in front of the sacrum and coccyx. You must remember that posterior relation of the rectum is sacrum and coccyx. What structures present on the sacrum and coccyx comes as a relation to the posterior part of the rectum. So sympathetic trunk, median sacral artery, S3, S4, S5, nerves, ganglion impar, that is nothing but union of sympathetic trunks on right side, left side, in front of the coccyx, that is ganglion impar, comes as a relation. So these are the posterior relations. First and foremost, you say sacrum and coccyx. What structures present on the front of the sacrum and coccyx? Sympathetic trunk. So piriformis muscle. This is the piriformis muscle. This is the sympathetic trunk. S3, S4, S5. Then two sympathetic trunks unite to form the ganglion impar. The medial sacral artery arising from the posterior part of the aorta. Below the lower part of posterior part of aorta comes to the relation to the posterior relations of the sacrum. You see from above on each side how the relations. On either side, this is pararectal fossa. This is the urinary bladder. This is the urinary bladder. This is the sigmoid colon. This is the rectum. No circulation. Already I told you, rectum, no circulation. Sigmoid colon, circulation is there. Now, interior of the rectum. This is the interior of the rectum. Mucosal fold strikes temporary perimeter. So, temporary longitudinal, the lower part, disappear or distension. Whenever the rectum is filled with fecal matter, you feel distension, then the mucosal folds will disappear and it becomes as a plain wall. So, without fecal matter present in the rectum, it appears as a folds of mucous membrane is there. Whenever the rectum is filled with mucus, the rectum is filled with fecal matter, then you will feel the urgency to defecate, urgency to go to lavatory. Then the mucosal folds disappear and the cavity of the rectum is increased to accommodate the fecal matter coming from the sigmoid colon. That's the natural phenomenon. Perimeter mucosal folds are Hudson's spot. Semilunar mesenteric transverse folds situated against the concavities and the lateral curvatures of the rectum. So they are formed by the reduplication of the mucous membrane containing submucous tissue and thickening of surface smooth muscles of the rectal wall. They are permanent and become more prominent when rectum is distended. According to Hudson, they are 4 in number. So, permanent mucosal folds is otherwise called as Hudson's walls. Okay. There are 2 types of mucosal folds present in the rectum: permanent mucosal folds and temporary mucosal folds. Temporary mucosal folds disappear when the rectum is filled with fecal matter coming from the sigmoid colon. Permanent mucosal folds, they remain permanent and they become more prominent even though when the rectum is filled with fecal matter. Whereas the temporary folds, when rectum is distended, they disappear. That is the reason. So, permanent mucosal folds are otherwise called as Hausdorff's walls. Semilunar transverse folds presently situate against the concavities in the lateral curvatures of the rectum. They are formed by the reduplication of mucosal membrane containing submucous tissue and thickening of surface of smooth muscle of the rectal wall. They are prominent and become more prominent when rectum is distended. According to Hudson, they are 4 in number. Horizontal Hudson's walls. Horizontal, semilunar, along concavity of lateral curves. Along concavity of lateral curves. Reduplication of mucosal membrane contains submucosa and thickening of circular muscle cord. So 1 fold, 2 fold, 3 fold, 4 fold. So this is 1 curvature, this is 1 curvature, this is 3 curvature. These are lateral curvatures. These are lateral curvatures. Superior, middle, inferior. Whereas this is the rectum, this is the sigmoid. So another is present at the rectosigmoid junction. How the interior of the sigmoid colon is disappearing and the interior of the rectum is becoming plain. Interior of the rectum is becoming plain. So the difference, you observe this difference, this view, how it is there. You observe how it is disappearing and it becomes plain when rectum is approaching, when we are coming into the rectum. So we have to observe the diagram in a clear-cut manner, how I am showing you in the with help of cursor. So this is the sigmoid colon, how the interior sigmoid colon is there. It is disappearing gradually. So this is the rectosigmoid junction. Here a fold is there, then first fold, first, second, third, and fourth. So 4 folds. They are permanent mucosal folds. They are caused by reduplication of mucosal membrane containing submucosa and thickening of circular muscle. If anybody asks you in the examination, Hudson's walls, you have to write they are permanent folds. They are permanent folds. They occur because of duplication of mucous membrane containing submucosa and thickening of circular fold. One is present at the rectosigmoid junction and another is present at the 3 lateral curvatures. They are permanent. They are more prominent, become more prominent when rectum is distended. Whereas temporary folds disappear when the rectum is distended. That is the difference. Permanent mucosal fold. First and 3 are constant. 2 and 4 are inconstant. Again, first and 3 are constant. 2 and 4 are inconstant, but they are present. They are inconstant, but they are present. Rectosigmoid junction. This is rectosigmoid junction. What is the length of the rectum and anal canal? So, how the distance present between the walls S3. So, 12 to 14 centimeters above the anus. This is the diagram showing the distance of the walls from the anorectal junction, from the anus. This is the levator area. This is the anal canal. This is the anal canal. So this is the rectum part. So how it occurs. So he has given a length where measurements and scale measurements are also there. So this is present 11 to 13 centimeters from the anal wall. This is present 50 to 17 centimeters from the anorectal junction. So how he has given the distance of folds, because in clinical side you have to examine the rectum and anus by means of sigmoidoscopy and proctoscopy, or by sending a tube into the rectum through the anus. Then you have to see the walls, at what distance they are present, how their appearance, how their color, how their thickness, is there any abnormality. So for that, this beautiful diagram, because when you examine the rectum and anus by means of sigmoidoscopy or proctoscopy, you have to measure the distance of walls, shape of the walls, color of the walls, texture of the walls. So you must know the length of the anal walls, the distance from each one to each one, from the anorectal junction to the rectosigmoid junction. Second wall or second fold lies about 1 inch, 2.5 centimeter above the third fold, projects from the left rectal wall along the concavity of the upper lateral curvature. How the walls are made? Anybody ask you what's posterior wall? They are permanent folds. They are present along the curvatures of the rectum. They have to mention that is, they are more prominent when rectum is distended. They are permanent folds. They are caused by reduplication of submucosa, mucous fold and submucosal folds. Again, you have the first wall, rectosigmoid junction, second wall, third wall, and fourth wall. These are present at the lateral curvatures of the rectum. So, the distance from which each one, what is the distance present between each wall, you have to mention it. Then only the answer will be complete. Third wall. So, this is the second wall, this is the third wall, this is the fourth wall. How we say fourth wall, third wall, second wall. So, this is the fold of mucous membrane and submucous membrane. This is the fold. How this wall? 1, 2, 3. So, third wall, he has given third wall. Second wall, third wall, fourth wall. This is the first wall, second wall, third wall, fourth wall. So, this is the third wall. You have to know the diagram. Fourth wall or fourth fold projects from the left wall of the rectum along the concavity of the lower cortic curvature. It lies about 2.5 centimeters below the third wall. How it appears in your proctoscopic examination? So, you are seeing it from below. You are sending sigmoidoscopy or proctoscopy through the anal opening. Then you find all these walls like this. Fourth fold, second fold, and third fold. How they are appears. So, third fold appears like this, second fold appears like this, and fourth fold appears like this. You are not seeing the first fold. This is the first fold. This is the second fold. This is the third fold, fourth fold. You see from, by applying rectum, by sending proctoscopy or sigmoidoscopy through the anal opening, that means below, then you will find this wall, this wall, and this wall as like this. So, this wall, it appears like this wall, it appears like this. So, this wall, it appears like this. So, you have to observe from below upward, these four folds appears like this. You see, this is in one line, this is in one line. So, this is one wall. So, this is one wall, this is one wall. Second and fourth. Whereas, third one, this is how it appears. Arterial supply, 5 rectal arteries supply. Superior rectal artery. This is superior rectal artery. Middle rectal artery, a branch of petroleum artery. Inferior rectal artery, a branch of internal peroneal artery. Superior rectal artery, 5 rectal arteries. There are 5 rectal arteries. So, superior rectal artery, middle rectal artery, inferior rectal artery. So, superior rectal artery is a branch of inferior mesenteric artery. There are 3 mesenteric arteries. Celiac tract, superior mesenteric artery, inferior mesenteric artery. Inferior mesenteric artery is the lowest one. So, Three important arteries are the blood supply of the gastrointestinal tract. Celiac trunk, superior mesenteric artery, inferior mesenteric artery. So, superior rectal artery is a branch from the inferior mesenteric artery. So, internal iliac artery gives branches middle rectal artery on either side. So, internal pudendal artery, they are branches from the inferior rectal artery is a branch from the internal pudendal artery. So, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Superior rectal artery is the chief principal artery of the rectum. It supplies entire mucous membrane up to the anavals and the musculature of the upper part of the rectum. It is the continuation of inferior mesenteric artery. Middle rectal artery is a branch of anterior ventral iliac artery, supplies the lower part of the rectum. Inferior rectal artery is a branch of the internal pudendal artery, passes across the ischiorectal fossa to supply the perineal skin, anal sphincters, and anastomose to the valves of the superior rectal artery at the pectoral line. So, superior rectal artery, middle rectal artery supplies the rectum. Inferior rectal artery, anastomose to the superior rectal artery. It supplies the ischiorectal fossa, perianal skin, anal sphincter, anastomose with valves of the superior rectum. So, inferior rectal artery, even though it is called as rectal artery, to be frank, it has no blood supply to the rectum. That is the abnormality. These two has got blood supply. Internal venous drainage. Internal venous plexus, superior rectal vein, middle rectal vein. External venous plexus goes into the inferior rectal vein. So, internal venous plexus is formed by the superior rectal vein, middle rectal vein. So, external venous plexus is formed by the inferior rectal vein. So, superior rectal vein, middle rectal vein. So, this is internal venous plexus. Now, abdominal aorta, left common iliac nodes, pararectal nodes. So, right internal iliac nodes. So, how they go? Upper part. They goes to the left common iliac nodes and pararectal nodes. So, middle part of the rectum, lymphatic drainage to the left internal iliac nodes. So, the lower part of the rectum goes to the right internal iliac veins, and whereas the anal canal goes to the horizontal set of superficial inguinal lymph nodes. So, the lymphatic drainage of the rectum and anal canal. So, the lymphatic drainage of the rectum and anal canal. So, the different parts of the rectum and anal canal, how the lymph from the rectum and anal canal is changed to the different group of lymph nodes is given in this diagram. We have to observe this diagram because we are sending the PowerPoint presentation to you. Nerve supply, sympathetic nerve supply L1 and L2 fibers through superior rectal and inferior hypogastric plexus. They are vasoconstrictor, inhibitory to musculature of the rectum, motor to the internal sphincter, carry sensations of pain. Parasympathetic nerve supply S2, S3, S4 passes via pelvis splanchnic nerves and inferior hypogastric plexus to rectal plexus. Motor to the musculature of the rectum, inhibitory to the internal sphincter. Whereas motor to the internal sphincter, here it is inhibitory to the internal sphincter. So, parasympathetic is inhibitory to the internal sphincter, whereas sympathetic is motor to the internal sphincter. Carry sensation of pain. Carry sensation of pain. That means sensation of pain is carried by both sympathetic and parasympathetic, whereas sensation of distension is carried only by the parasympathetic nerves. So, distension of rectum is caused by is appreciated by the parasympathetic nerve supply. If you are not able to identify that fecal matter is coming, that means your distension, your parasympathetic nerve supply to the rectal region may be damaged because the distension you are not able to appreciate. You get pain? Okay. Supports of rectum, pelvic floor by levator ani muscles. I show you the pelvic platform. Fascia Waldeyer, lateral ligaments of the rectum, rectovesical fascia of Degovilus, pelvic peritoneum, perineal body with its muscles, pelvic rectal and ischiorectal tract. So these are all the supports of the rectum. What structures? Pelvic floor is caused by the levator ani. Fascia Waldeyer, a condensed fascia present between the rectum and the front part, bladder or something, and uterus. Lateral ligaments of the rectum, rectovesical fascia of Degovilus, pelvic peritoneum, perineal body with its muscles, pelvic, rectal, and rectal fat. Applied anatomy, distal prefectal examination, how you will do. So by sending finger, having gloves, you can observe the posterior part of the prostate, you can observe the posterior part of the bladder, you can observe the seminal vesicle, you can palpate the seminal vesicle. So this is helpful. If there is any prostate malignancy, so the the anterior wall of the rectum will be fused with the prostate. So then you can say that there is a carcinoma of the prostate. So, or if you feel any nodules in the prostate, you can say, tell your patient, there are some nodules in the prostate. I am observing by sending finger into your anus, by palpating the posterior part of the prostate. So, if you send finger, then you can palpate the posterior part of prostate, because only the rectal wall is there. This is rectal wall is there. You can appreciate the prostate. You can appreciate the seminal vesicle. You can appreciate the mass difference. We observe. Whereas in distal rectal examination, check for growth in our enlargement of the prostate gland in men. Check for problems in a woman's reproductive organs such as uterus and ovaries. It is often done during regular pelvic examination and pap test. It may also be done to check on symptoms such as pelvic pain or vaginal bleeding. Help find the cause of symptoms such as rectal bleeding, blood in the stool, belly or pelvic pain, change in urination, or change in bowel habits. So the most common rectal and anal problems in your surgical posting will be appreciated through indiscriminate bowel habits. So proper bowel habits, if they are absent in your patient, definitely you will get abnormalities in the rectum and anus, pathological changes in the rectum and anus. If you find any abnormalities in the rectum and anus, you ask your patient what is your food habits, are you maintaining proper food habits, healthy food habits, then you will find lesser rectal and anal problem. At the same time, whenever you defecate, you have to clearly wash your anus with the fecal matter and everything. So hygiene, maintenance of hygiene of the lower part of the lower region of the pelvis, that is perineal region, is essential because most of the diseases occurs in the perineal region, because the fecal matter is a waste material. Some bacteria may inhabit there. So if your immunity is lower down, the commensal bacteria that is associated with human being normally may become pathogenic. Check for hemorrhoids or growth such as cancer in the rectum. So, distal rectal examination is not used to diagnose colorectal cancer. Also, DNA may not find internal hemorrhoids because they are soft and hard to feel. The sigmoidoscopy may be needed to diagnose internal hemorrhoids. So, for example, for hemorrhoids or files, they have to do sigmoidoscopy. Distal examination is not enough. Rectal prolapse, incomplete or mucosal prolapse in the rectum due to imperfect support to the rectum. So this is rectal prolapse. So this is rectum, limited here up to here, but the rectal mucosa comes outwards. Complete rectum coming outside is called procedentia. Complete coming of uterus outside is called procedentia. So complete outcome of visceral structure is called procedentia. Now anal canal. Anal canal, terminal part of the large intestine, begins at the anorectal junction at a point 2 to 3 centimeters implant and little below the tip of the coccyx. Downwards and backwards, this is the anus. Opens at anal orifice 4 centimeters below and in front of tip of coccyx. Already I told you everything before point. You see what is the terminal part of large intestine? Begins at anorectal junction. This is the rectum, this is the anus. Downwards and backwards. Is downwards and backwards. Opens at an orifice. This is opening, that's the anus. That is, this is the tip of the coccyx. So the distance between tip of the coccyx and the anal opening is 4 centimeters. This is 4 centimeters. Anal canal peculiarities. Anterior wall shorter. Anterior wall shorter. Measurement. E measurement. Posterior wall is long. Surrounded by sphincter ani. So this is called sphincter ani. This is called sphincter and a circular muscle fiber. You are seeing linear striations. You are seeing circular striations. This is called circular muscle fiber. Opens only during defecation. When you go to the lavatory, when you need the urgency of lavatory, then only the anus will be open, or otherwise it will be closed. Length 3.8 centimeters, breadth when empty laterally, well approximated, anteroposterior slit. Relations anteriorly perineal body, males membranous urethra bulb of penis, females lower end of vagina, posteriorly anococcygeal ligament and hypococcyx, laterally istiorectal fossa, all around sphincter muscles, tone of which keeps the anal canal closed. You see, you read all of these one, anterior relations, posterior relations, lateral relations, all round. Now you compare this with this diagram. Below the levator ani, 4 centimeters below the tip of the coccyx. All around circular muscle fibers are there. Now below the base of the prostate and neck of the bladder, is below. These are the relations. Perineal body is present between the anus and the hypothalamus. Anterior relations, posterior relations. This is the perineal body. Female rectouterine pouch or pouch of blood loss. This is rectum, this is uterus, this is rectum. So it is called rectouterine pouch of blood loss. Interior of the anal canal divided into 3 parts: upper area, intermediate area, and lower area. Lower area is called clear anus, anal wedge. Intermediate area is plain. This is pectic. Upper area, this is picnic line. This is upper area. So interior of the anal canal is divided into 3 parts: upper part, middle part, and lower part. Upper part, this is upper part, this is middle part, and this is lower part. So upper part, middle part, and lower part. So anal hairs are there. You see, this is the anus. Upper mucosal part, 15 millimeter long, endodermal and organ, embryological reference, 6 to 10 mucosal folds is there. Anal columns of Morgengii is there. So this is anal columns of Morgengii. Anal columns of Morgengii. Anal walls are walls of Barr. So these are anal walls or walls of Barr. All together forms pectinate line. So this is called pectinate line. Importance of pectinate line. Divide the anal canal into upper and lower half. This is the pectinate line. Important anatomical landmarks, several distinctions. Anal papilla, epithelial projections of anal wall. This is the pectinate line or dentate line, because it is like a dentate gyrus. It's a dentate line. The yellow color is pectinate line or dentate line. Upper part and lower part. Intermediate area or area of pectinate. 15 millimeters ectodermal organ, anal columns absent, anal columns absent. Bluish pink appearance of mucosa, bluish pink appearance of mucosa. Stagfed status epithelium, no sweat, sebaceous gland. This is white line of Milton. So you must practice this diagram also in anal canal. Lower cutaneous part. This is the lower cutaneous part. 8 millimeters long, ectodermal organ, true skin with pigmentation, contains sweat and sebaceous gland. 4 shades is there. This is the skin part. This is the lower cutaneous part. Where hairs are there. So this is the cutaneous part, anal cutaneous part. This is the above part, mucosal part. This is the above part. Anal sphincters, internal, thick and lower circular muscles of rectum, involuntary. External, striated muscles, voluntary 3 parts, subcutaneous, superficial, deep. You see this one, musculature of the anal canal. Internal, external. Internal anal sphincter and external anal sphincter. There are 2 anal sphincters present in the anal canal. They are internal anal sphincter, they are external anal sphincters. Inferior rectal nerve, deep superficial. Assignment. Go through the diagram in textbook. Write attachments are deep, superficial, and subcutaneous parts of external anal sphincter in book or paper. Take picture in your mobile. This is the assignment I am giving to you. Go through the diagram in textbook. Write attachments of deep, superficial, and subcutaneous parts of external anal sphincters in a book or paper. Take pic in your mobile. After the class is over, what you have learned, what you have read, what you have read, you go through the textbooks, you compare this PowerPoint with the textbook, and you come to a conclusion and write it on a paper. Self-assessment, that is more important for a medical student. So whenever the class is over, you have to go through the class again, you have to see the PowerPoint again, then you have to verify the standard textbook you are following. Then you close the textbook and write assignment yourself on your house or your leisure hour. Then only you will get the correct knowledge. So who are not practicing this, so they will get less marks. So you have to practice it, then you will be perfect in subject. You won't forget even in the text of examination also if you will practice. Once you learn my lecture, once you go through the PowerPoint, you read it again, then you go through the textbook, you read the textbook, you compare this one and that one, you come to a conclusion of subject and put it on a paper, and you verify the PowerPoint and textbook, then you will get your own idea in your brain. You never forget this throughout your career. That is important, that majority of students are not following. And who are following, they will get good marks. They are the first class students and brilliant students. So you follow from this day onwards. Arterial supply, lymphatic drainage, development. The upper part of the anal canal, superior rectal artery, lower part, inferior rectal artery, venous draining. Upper part, drained into the portal venous system by superior rectal vein. Lower part of the anal canal is drained into the cavern system by inferior rectal vein. Sympathetic drainage, lymphatic drainage. Upper part of the anal canal drains into the internal iliac nodes. Lower part drains into the horizontal group of superficial inguinal nodes. Therefore, the pectinate line forms the watershed line of anal canal. The difference of above the pectinate line, one embryological development. Below the pectinate line, another embryological development. Ectoderm and endoderm. Upper part of the anal canal is endodermal in origin. Develops from anorectal canal, dorsal part of plica. Lower part of anal canal is ectodermal in origin. Develops from arcodium. The anal membrane separating the two parts breaks down and part, which remains are represented by pectinate line in the anal canal. The anal walls are said to be the remains of the anal membrane. So distinction between above pectinate line and below the pectinate line. A beautiful diagrammatic representation of the chart is given. Hemorrhoids are pale, internal hemorrhoids. Tributaries of superior rectal above white line, generally painless. External hemorrhoid, tributary of inferior rectal below white line, generally pale. So hemorrhoids or piles are two types, internal hemorrhoids and external hemorrhoids. So this is the reference. Superior rectal internal hemorrhoid, external hemorrhoids, tributaries of internal inferior hemorrhoids. So this is another diagram showing the positions. At what position piles are there. So you will see you can observe even in vermiform appendix also clot position is there. Then in anal canal piles is there with clot position. Only two are seen with the clot position. This is the hemorrhoids. Most common thing in surgical practice you will find hemorrhoids. Anal fissure, rupture of one wall, lined by mucous membrane and skin. Anal fissure, abnormal epithelial tract connecting the two cavities. Anal abscess, collection of pus near the anus due to infection of anal gland. Rectal incontinence, damage to the anorectal ring results in rectal incontinence. So anal disorders, internal hemorrhoids, anal fistula. So fistula, nothing but a tract. Anal fissures is a closer communication. Anal abscess, collection of pus. This is collection of pus, white in color. Anal fissures, they are closer ones. Anal fistula, it is a continuation between this cavity and external side. Fistula is nothing but a tract. Thank you very much for your patient learning in the afternoon lunch hours. Thank you very much. Okay.